I'm honored to introduce the body to Elizebeth Smith Friedman. Elizebeth Smith Friedman outwitted mobsters, bootleggers, and uncovered Nazi spy rings. Born in 1892 to Quaker parents in Indiana, she studied literature in college. While studying Shakespeare folios at the Newberry Library in Chicago, she landed her first job in 1916. The librarian at the Newberry introduced Friedman to Colonel George Fabian. The colonel was a rich industrialist determined to uncover secret codes hidden within the Shakespearean documents. He hired her at the Riverbanks Laboratories in Geneva, Illinois, where she worked alongside William Friedman, a geneticist and a photographer. Together, they studied Shakespeare, not finding any codes, but instead they found love for each other and code breaking. As World War I approached, Colonel Fabian established the first code-breaking unit, putting Friedman and William in charge. They developed their own methods of decrypting based on math instead of linguistics. The US government soon came calling. Friedman trained the first team of code breakers in World War II, while William broke codes on the war's front. After the war, they moved to Washington, D.C. for William's work with the U.S. Army Intelligence. Friedman left office to become a mom, but never gave up code breaking. She loved deciphering codes so much that even her notes and cards to family and friends contained codes for them to break. In 1925, all that changed when the U.S. Coast Guard came knocking at her door. They needed her help. They needed her to decipher the coded radio messages around illicit alcohol and organized crime. She decrypted about 25,000 messages a year while creating the first strategic intelligence gathering. Her work became so essential that in 1931, the Coast Guard approved her plan to develop a code-breaking unit, putting her in charge, the first woman to ever run such a unit. Her code-breaking made her the key witness in court cases to bring down Al Capone and international rum operations. Fed up with the objections of attorneys and defense attorneys, calling her work witchcraft and foolishness, she set up a blackboard and gave a class in court on how deciphering works. Her instructions silenced the attorneys and got her the convictions. When World War II started, her unit moved under the Navy, and a military officer she had to train was placed in charge. The unit was assigned to monitor communication between spy rings in South America and Nazi high command. She decrypted messages transmitting the location of Allied ships in the Atlantic Ocean to U-boat captains who were destroying the ships. On behalf of FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover, Brazil began arresting the spies and giving away the code that had been broken. The radio waves went silent. When they started up again, she had to break new codes, and they were more complex in order to keep the Allied ships safe. With mere pen and paper, she destroyed some of the most important codes during the war. Within a year after the war ended, her unit was disbanded. She signed a Navy oath of silence until her death, sitting silently while J. Edgar Hoover took credit for the decryptions and erased Friedman and her team from the official record. Because her work was classified and she was forbidden to speak about her service to the U.S., her work was often attributed to men. Her husband, colleagues, and the FBI's J. Edgar Hoover. Her husband, William Friedman, was considered one of the greatest code breakers of all time, but in truth, they were a dynamic duo of code breaking. She helped to create code-breaking methods that form the basis and theory of decrypting today, giving rise to the many U.S. intelligence agencies. She died in 1980, taking her secrets with her, upholding her oath. In 2008, the files detailing her work were declassified, and her story can finally be told. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.